Perfect. Okay, guys. Welcome, welcome, welcome. You're coming. All right, perfect. Sweet. Wonderful. So today I'm going to be teaching on Web Analyzer, which today is called Vibrata. Previously was known as Web Analyzer. So Web Analyzer is a product that IM has, one of the ways that we use in making money in a nutshell. You use it for Forex, literally, to make money from the Forex market. Um, in here, there are different strategies that can be used. In fact, let me show you. So you can see different strategies. You see Dr. Katie. Okay, first of all, you can get this if you're on the elite package. You have access to Vibrata. If you do not have that, maybe you're on a single package, then you can get Vibrata as an add-on from your back office. If you don't know how to do that, just reach out to your coach or mentor and they will help you get Vibrata. All right. So we use it to trade Forex markets. And it's cheap actually. I think it costs like $23 or so to get, if I'm not mistaken. That's if you're not on the elite package. Okay. So once you have it, you just type vibrata.im, right? Then it brings you here practically. You can also use the one I used the last class, which is the Web Analyzer. So that's the previous one. Remember the last class when I taught on this, I was using a different one, which was called Web Analyzer. The window is a bit different from this, but it's the same thing, right? So Web Analyzer now is called Vibrata. Okay, so I like the fact that it has a white background, so it helps analyze the market better. So there are different strategies that we can use on the Vibrata. Right, so you can see Dr. Katie. A lot of people know her. I personally like her because I've been following her for a while now. There's BYOB. I think this BYOB and this Dr. Katie, which is ECC 11 strategy. Those are the two most common strategies when talking about the Vibrata. So the BYOB means be your own bank, be your own bank cash out strategy, be your own bank. And when I saw it, I was like, wow, that's nice to be your own bank. Maybe I would have an event sometime and I'll call it be your own bank. So yeah, these two strategies, ECC 11 strategy and BYOB cash out, are the two major strategies that are used for Vibrata. So frankly, you could literally take a trade idea without using any of these strategies. Frankly, once a trader is being called out, it keeps, so you see this happen all the time where it goes off and it comes on. That's because it tries to update, right? So once a trade is being called out by this right hand side, you could take it like as it is, right? Just without using a strategy. But what happens is when we begin to apply strategies to what we do, let me click on Dr. Katie. So tonight I'll be focusing on the ECC 11 strategy, which is actually the most common strategy when you are dealing with Vibrata. All right. So when you click on it, when you decide to use strategy, it's going to reload now. When you decide to use strategy, okay, I'm actually on it. This is, but yeah, it's reload. When you decide to use strategy, what happens is that it makes your confirmations much more. It gives you that much confidence that you need to enter a trade and you know, like, okay, this is it. I need to enter at this time. It's correct. So strategies gives you much more confirmations that this market is actually going to go in your direction. So if you do without a strategy and you're just using only the Vibrata, I mean, it's good, but you get much more confidence when you apply a strategy to whatever you're doing. So it gives you that confirmation that you need. So you can decide to use the ECC 11 strategy. You could decide to use be your own bank strategy. You could decide to use any of these other strategies, right, to analyze the market and going for a better entry. But in a nutshell, what Web Analyzer does for you, what Vibrata does for you, is that it gives you a possible, entry period. It gives you high probability entry period or points. It tells you, okay, guys, I've just found something in the market now. You guys should enter. That's what Vibrata does. It tells you, oh, guys, because there are notifications that would always come in, right? So this keeps updating. See, this was 20 minutes ago, right? It says 20 minutes. So it just comes in and it's like, guys, I've just found a very nice setup. I just found a very nice entry point. I want you to enter the market. That's what it does. That's what the Vibrata does. It just gives you entry points, determines when you should enter the market. But when you apply a strategy, it confirms that particular entry point that has been called Vibrata. right? So a strategy helps you to confirm. And it's like, okay, now you really need to enter. All right. I'm trying to literally take you guys through these basic steps so that you do understand. All right. Now, that being said, we analyze this market on a 15 minutes time frame. So most of the time, it is always good to go with 15 minutes, M15. Okay. You can do M30, H1. So M30 simply means on a 30 minutes time frame. So that means this candle opens and closes within 30 minutes. Sometimes I get a lot of people asking me that, oh, coach, if they say M15, does that mean the trade becomes invalid after 15 minutes? So for example, M15, does that mean the trade becomes invalid after 15? I'm like, no, that's not what it means. The M5, the M15, the M30, H1, D1, it doesn't mean the trade becomes invalid after that time. It only simply means that this setup, right, this trade ideas that you see, let me see if I can try and pause this so that it doesn't yeah, I hope it works this time so it doesn't keep blinking, because it does that all the time. So this M15 simply means that these trade ideas were found while analyzing this market on a 15 minutes time frame. So that means each of this candle you see here takes 15 minutes to open and close. Each of this candle you see here takes 15 minutes to open and close. But that reminds me, there's going to be a training on candle. In fact, I got a call right before this meeting, and one of us will be taking a training on candles. And I was super excited because that's one training that I'm like, we need to have that training, but there've been a lot of other trainings, and yeah, we've not had that, but we're going to have that soon, next week precisely, by God's grace. So you do not want to miss that at all. You do not want to miss that. So 15 minutes simply means that, right, each of this candle opens and closes within 15 minutes. Each of these candles open and closes within 15 minutes. So this, let me change, this is a 5 minutes time. So let me put it to 15. Yep, here we go. So each of this closes and opens within 5 minutes. So this whole thing happened within 15 minutes rather. This whole thing happened within 15 minutes. This whole stuff happened within 15 minutes. This whole stuff happened within 15 minutes. That's what it means. If we change it to M30, it's the same thing. If we change it to H1, it's the same thing, right? So, but when we are dealing with Vibrata using the ECC 11 strategy, we always want to work with M15, a 15 minutes time frame, right? However, you can decide to do 30 or H1 or D1. It only simply means that the idea will take a much longer time to play out. That's what it means. But the idea will take a much longer time to play out, because imagine if we are looking at these candles on, for example, 1 hour. So it means this whole stuff happened in 1 hour. And if a trade idea was called in H1, that simply means it would happen within that 1 hour time frame. So imagine if it's going to take a while to happen, then you need plenty hour time frame. And then that's like, so, but unlike a 15 minutes, right, it's seen within 15 minutes. So that idea could play out faster. That's what it simply means. It could play out faster. I hope that makes sense. If you really got that, just that very small basic introduction or explanation, please put some 5s for me on the chat box. If you easily got that small explanation, put 5s for me on the chat box. Just put 5s for me on the chat box if you got that simple explanation. All right, I see that makes sense. All right, beautiful. So now when we are looking at it on the 15 minutes, so let me change this. So the trade ideas on 15 minutes, and then the time frame is analyzed on both 15 minutes, 5 minutes, and 1 minute. The time frame, right, on this part is analyzed on both. The trade idea is on the 15 minutes candle frame, but it's now also analyzed on 15 minutes, 5 minutes, and 1 minute. So I think I don't know if I've not had that teaching yet, but one of the things I've explained in passing is that when you are using a 5 minutes, candle, if we have like 5 minutes, it makes up the 15 minutes. If you have like 15 1 minutes, it makes up the 15 minutes. So you can get a picture of what might come up if you're analyzing from 5 minutes and 1 minute under the 15 minutes, trade idea. I hope that makes sense too. So now we are going to put this on 15 and this as well on 15. Okay. Now, some of the things I'm going to say, really, you need a pen and a book. It might be a lot of information all at once, but it's fine. You can go over it over and over and over again. And trust me, when you master this, you will not take a lot of time in understanding how it works. You literally just come into the market and like, okay, this is my entry, and you enter. and you leave the market, right? To be as simple as ABC. But initially, it's going to be foreign, so it will require more time for you to understand. But I'll try to break things down as much as possible. But whenever you don't understand, please just put on the chat box. But make sure you're not the one that came late, because if you came late and you're telling me you don't understand, I'm going to answer you at all. All right. So yes, you're looking at the M15. One of the things that the ECC11 does for you is that it tries to give you what we call support and resistance zones. What the ECC11, strategy tries to do is gives you support and resistance. So some of you might be wondering what is support. By the way, if you are new, that's fine. Entirely fine. You might not understand everything. You're not supposed to understand everything. This is something that some people have paid to be a part of, and it's a training. It takes a while, right? So some of the people on this call, they've been in the academy for months. Some have been in the academy for days. Some have been in the academy for weeks. So you cannot get everything in just one day. But I just want you to just at least get the concept of how we literally make money, all right? So that you see that it's not abracadabra, right? You see the steps, like step by step, how you become the controller of your funds. Okay, so now let's look at this. Now, your trade idea was called, this is M15, right? This was 1 hour, 17 minutes ago, right? It's 2 hours, 2 minutes ago. The first thing you want to look at is this bar here, right? So if the bar is a green bar, then we're looking at possible buy entries. If the bar is a green bar, looking at possible buy entries. If the bar is a red bar, like this one, we're looking at possible sell entries. However, it is not a 100% thing. Even if you see a buy entry, it is possible you can still enter for a sell, and I will explain that to you, right? So it's not like levels that once you see a buy, then it's 100% a buy. I mean, it's almost the same thing that happens in levels, because levels can change a trade idea, right? You can flip it. So when you see a buy, it's literally still going to be a buy at the end of the day, right? But you could still jump in for a sell if your confirmations add up, if your indicators are telling you that, oh, Adaora, this is a sell. You could literally as well go in for a sell. But based on what we can see here, it's a buy, and it's telling us to go in for a buy. The next thing you want to look at is the currency pair. It says Euro NZD. So I've clicked on it, right? Euro NZD. Let me change this to 15 minutes, guys. All right. So you always want to confirm that this and this are tallying, because whenever you change, it just updates, okay? So it says Euro NZD. So now you look at the trade idea, M15, right? So two things you want to take note of. You want to take note of the called price, what price was called, and you want to take note of the UTC, the time, right? So this time at the bottom is in UTC. This time you see at the bottom is in UTC. So you want to take note of the price and the time. And so the first thing we're going to do is to take note of the price, okay? So we do that and we draw an horizontal line. You draw an horizontal line. Good. You could just place your horizontal anywhere in the charts, and then you can literally put in your settings and you change the coordinates. It says 1.58160. I'm going to look at a couple of examples, right? But I'll just show you the concept, and I'll show you what has happened before to give you a better idea of what we're doing, right? So 1.58160. So with this, you're able to know if a trade idea has played out or not, whether you should enter the market now or when you should enter the market. All of that will be explained. So just follow me closely. So once you're done with that, you click on OK. You can decide to make it bigger if you want, right? And then you can decide. Let me change the color, guys. Let me put, what color do I want to put? Let me put this color. Okay. Right. So, and then the next thing you want to do is to draw a vertical line, but this time you want it to be for the time, right? So the UTC says 1815, so that's there, 1815. I want to increase this. Let's make it thicker, and let's change the color. Okay, maybe this color works. Let me see if I can get another color for us. Does this work? So remember, vertical has to be the time, and the horizontal has to be the price. Okay. Let me see. Just a minute. I'm sorry, guys. I'm indecisive at the moment. Okay, let's use this. Okay, so when we have this, right, this simply means that the trade was called at this point. It simply means that the trade, this is when the trade was called, right? It says you should enter in. Now, if you are just doing a simple vibrata, you don't want to do any further analysis, which is dangerous, right? You can, some people would enter at this point. But if you enter at this point, you can see that there was a pushback, right? There was a what? There was a pushback. So you can't just jump in. You must have confirmations to help you know that, okay, this is really a good setup. Now, another thing you want to take into account is that this idea was called an hour 17 minutes ago. So it is possible, definitely, it has not played out. That's what it means, that this idea has not played out. So it will need more time. But then you need to now ask yourself, at what point should I then enter? But now let me also prove why you shouldn't enter at this point. Now, there are certain indicators to look out for when you're looking out for a buy. On this ECC 11 strategy, there are certain things to look out for when you're looking out for a buy. But before you do that, you need to first of all draw what we call a zone. The first thing you want to look at is to draw a zone. How do I get my zone? You know, most of you that understand support and resistance, right? Support and resistance, it gives you a zone to know, okay, this is the zone to enter. All right. So how I get my zone is very simple. I look at this and I look at the highest high and the lowest low of the previous candle. The highest high and the lowest low of the previous candle. Do you guys get that? The highest high and the lowest low of the previous candle. So this is the previous candle, right? And this is the highest event. You can use the body. You can decide to use the body, okay? And then this is the lowest event as well, okay? So now when you do this, let me show you. And remember, I told you you can go against the trend, and I'll prove that to you now. So if this was it, then this is what I will be drawing. Let's say, so I'm using this. Okay. So you can decide to as well. So some people use body and wick. Some people just use body. Okay. So me, I'm going to use, I'll use the body. I'll use the body. Okay. Just 1 minute. So I will explain better now if you do not understand. So you can decide to drag this forward some more if you want. So I changed. Now, if you look at this candle, well, this red candle that closed, right? You see that it closed here. So it closed lower than this previous candle. And if I'm using the body, then that means this close here is not, this candle that closed there is not the lowest. Is this other candle that closed at this point, that's the lowest. Do you understand? This other candle here, so everything here closed at this point. So you cannot use that. You have to use the previous lowest low, which happens to be this, and the previous highest, which happens to be this. So you would literally map that out, and that becomes like your zone. That becomes like your zone. This becomes your zone. So what that simply means for me, if I want to enter this trade, that simply means that apart from the confirmations now, which we'll look at briefly, but just without confirmations, that simply means that if I want to enter this trade, if this candle, if any of the candles, because this is a consolidation stage, this is what I've drawn out for us, this is our support and resistance. So if this candle decides to break out of here, then I can enter it for a buy, as it has called a buy. If this candle breaks out of this point, which it has, then I'll enter it for a sell, which you can see is already dropping down. So if I was to enter a sell, right, for a quick one, then I would enter at this point where it breaks out. And then you see that it has actually fallen down up onto this point. You can decide to calculate the pips. But you can decide as well that, okay, no, I don't just want to enter. I want to literally follow what is here. And you're looking at, okay, this is a buy. So the next thing you want to do now is you want to look at the confirmations. What are the things to look out for when we're looking out for a buy? And what are the things to look out for when we're looking out for a sell? If I'm being too fast, please stop me and take me backward. Remember, like I said, it's a lot of new information, it's a lot of stuff. It might look difficult at first, but with time, it becomes very, very easy if you get the whole logic. All right. But remember, everything I'm explaining has to do much more with support and resistance. Support and resistance. So I literally just drawn my support and resistance zone. That's what I've just done. Support, resistance. That's what I've just done. Literally, this zone. So if it breaks out up, then it keeps going up. If it breaks out down, then it keeps going down for me. And you see here, it literally broke down, and that's why you're seeing it's going down. All right, but this idea will still come back and play up. So before it does that, I could literally have made some money and probably gone out of the market, basically. But if you want to be much more sure, then you need to now take note of some certain indicators to know that this is a buy, or certain indicators to know that this is a sell. Certain indicators to know that this is a buy, and certain indicators to know that this is a sell. So now I would just write it out for you guys so that you can see. So I'll literally type out a buy. So for a buy, there are 4 things you want to check out for. 3 most important. Then the 4th one is not really important, right? So there are 4 things you want to check out for. Once you see these 4 things, it tells you literally, Ada, this is a buy, go in. All right? It tells you literally, Ada, this is a buy, go in. I'll first of all write it out. Please, you want to jot it as well, and then I'll explain it so that it becomes easier. Okay? So the number 1 thing you want to check for a buy is the red line above the blue line. The first really important stuff is the red line above the blue line. Okay, that's the first thing you want to check out. Number 2 thing you want to check out, right? You can just write this out for yourself. Is the, I can see someone has just unmuted, so please can you help me mute? Is the green line. The next thing you want to check out is the green line. Don't worry, I'll explain all of this. Is the green line above the cloud. Above the cloud. So you just write it out. Okay. The third thing you want to check out for a buy as well is the cloud ahead. So there's always going to be a cloud ahead that gives you a prediction of what is to come. Green on top. So if all of these answers are yes, then it's a buy. That's what I'm trying to say. All of these answers are yes, then it's a buy. So a buy simply means that you want the market to go above your entry. So the moment you enter it, then, right, you become profitable. Then the last thing, which is not so important, but you might want to check that out as well, is are the candles, right? Are the candles above the cloud? Above the cloud. Okay. Yep. So this is for a buy, guys. This is for a buy. I hope you were able to take that down. So this is it. I'm going to push it to one side. Then I'll write for a sell. Okay. Then for a sell, right? For a sell. Okay. Let's make this red. Okay. Coming. Second. For a sell. Guys, if you're still with me and you're following, like you're still literally with me, you just put some 7s for me. If you're literally still with me, you're following me step by step, just put some 7s. All right, I'll make it make sense. Just don't worry, I'll make it make sense. Number 1, and don't push it. It's new for you, so don't push it. Okay. What's going on here? Oh, did my system tell you guys that it wants to hang? I don't know. I'm trying to type something. Okay. All right, so it's back. So for a sell, the first thing you want to look at is the red line. This time it will be below. Is the red line below the blue line? For a buy, is the red line above? Okay, so is the red line below the blue line? So these are just, all of this just helps you to know, okay, girl, it's time to enter. Guy, it's time to really enter this. That's what it helps you to do. Okay. Then the next thing you want to check out is the green line below the cloud. Is the green line below the cloud? Okay. All right. Okay. Then the next thing you want to put out is the third point. The third one is the cloud ahead. So, usually call and put, you know, it's always opposite, buy and sell. It's just the opposite that you always use as the signal. Is the cloud ahead red on top? Is the cloud ahead red on top? For a buy, is the cloud ahead green on top? So just opposite. And then the fourth one, which is not really so important, but you want to pay attention to that. It might help, you know, do a lot of stuff. It's at the candles below the cloud. Are the candles below the cloud? With time, all this will make sense and you would easily identify these things without having to spend a lot of time. Okay. I mean, you could just use 2 or 3. Even by what I've already said, I don't even need all these confirmations. But what confirmations they do, it just gives you a much, you know, all right, I need to really enter this market. Like, I can see everything. It's a good stuff. Those of you who really do a lot of HFX, you really feel me in this case, right? Now, okay, this is a nice setup. I just have to enter, you know. So yeah, this is it, guys. Right? So these are the indicators that you want to look out for. So let me explain what each of them means so that you can get it logically. All right. So the first one for a buy is the red line above the blue line. So let me show you the red and the blue line. This is the red line. This is the blue line. This is the red line. This is the blue line. So you see them here? You see them? Can you guys see it? This is the blue line. This is the red line. Can you guys see it? Right? The red line, the blue line. So it says that the red line should be above the blue line. But in this case, you see that the blue line is actually above the red line, guys. So this is definitely not a buy. I can't enter this market for a buy. Just the first one is the red line has got to be above the blue line. But yeah, the blue line is actually above the red line. So it's giving me an indicator for even a sell for that matter. All right. So is the red line below the blue line? And in this case, it's true. The red line is actually below the blue line. So let's look at point number 2. It says, is the green line above the cloud? Now, the green line here is this one. You guys following? The green line here is this one. See, this one, this one, this one. That's the green line, right? So is that green line is saying, is the green line above the cloud? Okay, in this case, yes, the green line is above the cloud. Okay, this green line is above the cloud. Now, the next one says, is the cloud ahead green on top? So I hope you guys are getting me. This is the green line that they're talking about. So mostly you see that green line is looking like shake. So you can see it's like, yeah. So it's not a straight line. It's not a curvy line. Yeah, it's just, yeah, it goes. So that's the green line. Now the next one says, is the cloud ahead green on top? Okay, so this is the cloud ahead. We can decide to take this a bit forward. Okay, and decide to take this a bit forward. So this one becomes the cloud ahead, right? So is the cloud ahead green on top? Yes, it is green on top. Okay, then it says, are the candles above the cloud? Are the candles above the cloud? This is the cloud, by the way. This is the cloud. This whole stuff is the cloud. So it says, are the candles above the cloud? Yes, the candles are above the cloud. So we can see that the first one, which is like literally the most important, is actually does not align. So obviously for that reason alone, I cannot take this. It becomes like, no, let me not enter this. But there's also something else I want you guys to pay attention to. It's just a secret. Whenever you see this red line, right? You see this cloud here. If you see a red line like this one here, right? If you see it under the candle and it's straight like this, right? It's straight. No, it's not curvy. It's straight. It tells you that the market wants to hit this and possibly now start going up. Whenever you see this kind of line, it means the market wants to hit that and possibly start going up. And you can see it's actually creating a consolidation around this area because the market almost dropped to that point. And then, it started pushing back to this point and it's pushing. So it's having a consolidation around this area. Right? So this line also tells you that, this market wants to drop all the way down. And literally that's what it's doing. So if I took this trade for a sell at this point, right, I would have gotten, this amount of pips. So you can actually calculate it from 119. Can someone help me calculate the amount of pips that would be from 119? And it has gotten to 999. From 119 to 999. Someone should please calculate the number of pips for me. From 119 So you see it here, or you can use 117 if you want. 58117, right? 58117, and it fell down to this point, right? It fell down to this point. You can even say 57, or you can decide to say maybe 58002. Either ways, can someone just help calculate that? So let's use 58. So 58, so 119, and then it goes all the way down to 002. 119 to 002. How many pips is that? And those who are already into Forex big time, you can tell us how much profit that would be on different account sizes. If you're using, or different lot sizes, rather, if you're using a lot size of 0.1, mini lot size, you know, a standard lot size, how much would that be? Just help us with the amount if this actually played out for a sell. So remember, I said you could trade, you know, opposite the moment you realize that, okay, this setup based on what we have just seen, right, it wants to go down first before coming up. So how will I take this for a buy? The moment it comes up to this point and it breaks this zone, right? Once it breaks this zone, then this is a buy. This is a buy market. It's going. And all of these other confirmations, like the red, this first confirmation, the blue line is the red line above the blue line, would then obviously add up by that time. Another way again to confirm further, in case you are like still skeptical, right? You're like, all these things, the moment you understand it, it will take you nothing less than 5 minutes to run through all of this. And you know, okay, I'm entering, I'm not entering. So this is a 15 minutes candle. You decide to check. So remember, I said you must always check 5 minutes and 1 minute. What is it doing? What is it saying on a 5 minutes? What is it saying on a 1 minute? I hope this, yep. So this is a 5 minutes. So let's see what it's saying on a 5 minutes, right? On a 5 minutes, you see. So you can see that obviously it's all the way down. Of course, it has to. So but now we need to look at our what's it called, our indicators. We need to look at our indicators. So which is the cloud? This is the cloud. This is the cloud. This is the cloud. See me, I'm moving past the cloud. This is the cloud. This is the cloud. I hope you got that. This is the cloud. This is the green line I told you about. Is the green line above the cloud. This is the green line. Okay, right? So now on the 5 minutes, you see something entirely. So now you want to analyze all of these indicators using that intercepts where the trade was called, which is here. You want to use this intercept to literally analyze these indicators. So you're not looking at what happened before, you're not looking at what is to come, you're looking at what really happened at the time the trade idea was called. Okay, so it says is the red line above the blue line. You check it. At the time this trade idea was called, it jammed, obviously, right? So there was a crossing at that time. So you can't take that as an indicator. Says is the green line above the cloud. So you have to look forward, right? Yes, the green line is actually above the cloud. And then it says again, is the cloud ahead green on top? Sorry, I just answered it, the cloud ahead green on top. Is the green line above the cloud? That's this one, right? It's the green line above the cloud. But sometimes you don't really need to use, I mean, for me, I think your best bet is this first one, is the red line above the blue line. And then also the cloud, that's point number 1 and point number 2. Or you can just use point number 1 and point number 3. Those 2 points, point number 1 and point number 3 are like really important. Point number 1 and point number 3. It gives you like, so this market obviously is about to go in a direction of a buy, right? But it requires time. So while that time is still popping out, I could easily take this idea for a sell because it has broken my zone. Okay, so now that's on the 5 minutes. You want to also check the same thing on 1 minute time frame, right? On 1 minute time frame. So remember, 1 minute, you see a lot of many candles. Why? Because each candle opens and closes within 1 minute. All right. So we see all that. But now in a 1 minute time frame, you see that something has changed. You see that the cloud is actually above the candle, right? The cloud is actually above the candle. And you see that the candle, the cloud ahead has a red on top and not a green on top. So on a 1 minute time frame, this trade is telling us that it's not yet ready for a buy. On a 1 minute time frame, it's telling us it's not yet ready for a buy. Okay, So you can see that already. It gives you that comfort. Oh no, this is not yet a buy. This is not a buy. Let me chill some more, right? So how do you not know it's a buy? The moment it enters your zone and it crosses that zone, then you know your setup is ready for a buy. But while that is still happening, you can just jump in quickly for a sell. And literally it has hit that line now. But it's respecting it because remember, like I said, what ECC 11 tries to do for us, it gives you support and resistance. So this line is acting as, that base. Okay, so let's look at another one. Let's get another one. I don't know, are you guys following? Are you understanding it? Is it making sense? Why did my guy come here now? Just 1 minute. Okay. Is it making sense, guys? Are you understanding? Please, if you're following me closely, step by step, please just put twos for me on the chat box. If you're following me closely, step by step. Now let me take one that probably was called a long time ago. If you're following me closely, please just put two for me on the chat box. So let's look at this. Let's see if it played out. This was called about 4 hours ago. Okay. This was for a sell. So remember the first one was 1 hour ago. So it hasn't yet played out. Okay. So this was 4 hours ago. So let's do what we do normally. We have to first of all get the time. So first of all, we look at the price and then the time. So the price was called at, so we get our horizontal, right? Horizontal line. You need to first just place it anywhere. Then you can change the coordinates. The coordinate was 2.25246. You need to practice this. Practice it. You get used to it, and it becomes nothing. Okay, it becomes nothing for you. Let me see. 1 minute. Let me confirm this. 1.25246 USD card. All right. And then the next thing we want to do is check out the UTC, the time it was called. So this was around 3:30. Okay. Where's 3:30? This one. So you need to now draw a vertical line. Just by me looking at this hasn't played out. Vertical line 3:30. Okay. I think I should change this lines for you guys so that you can see it much more closely. Let me use green or blue. Let's use blue. That's fine. All right, good. So now this is called, let me see. This is called for a sell. But obviously this hasn't played out and it's about to start playing out now. So it's dropping. Let me put my previous support and resistance. So remember the next step is to draw out a zone. Okay, to draw out a zone and see what you want to jump into. So if I draw a zone, the previous candle, highest point, I'm using body. So this cannot be my highest point. This will be my highest point, right? And then lowest point, this was the lowest point. So which is almost the same thing as this one. So I might want to use this one. All right. So the next thing you get a brush, rectangle, and then you draw it. Okay. So this is our highest point. So remember your highest high and your lowest low is what you're literally trying to get out. And then you can draw it as far as you want practically. Okay. Okay. That works for me. So let me drag this further to, you can drag it to wherever like you want it to go to, but I just want to drag it further to tell you, to show you that it's actually playing out. Okay. All right. Let's make this. Okay. And you guys see it. I hope you can see it because I'm trying. Okay. Good. So now, based on what I have taught you guys, now if I see a setup like this, remember this is the first thing you want to do. You draw your lines, horizontal, vertical, and then you draw your zone, previous candle. If I see this without even looking for any indicator, I have drawn a support and resistance zone. Very simple, support and resistance zone. If it breaks above this zone, I'm going in for a buy, a quick buy. I can just do 10 pips up and come out in profits. And that's it. I'm done with that idea, right? Or you can literally now decide, okay, I want to wait for this idea to play out. So that simply means if it breaks out down here, which is now trying to do after about 4 hours, because remember, Forex is not like 30 minutes or 5 minutes like when you, like HFX binary options. No, Forex requires hours and days, and you do not need to monitor. The moment you put your stop loss, your take profit, you're out of there, right? So if I enter this market, I see it, I wait for it, literally. So if it breaks out, so how do you wait for it? It's very simple. Put a pending order. Put a pending order at this point. Some of you have thought you already pending order. If you don't, like, you can go back to it. Put a pending order, which simply means that once the market hits this price, your trade becomes active. So me, I'll put 2 pending orders. I'll put a buy pending order and I'll put a sell pending order. So either ways, I'll make money, 10 pips, right? If it hits here, it goes up 10 pips. I'm gotten my money. I've taken my profit and I'm out. If it comes down, right, 10 pips below, I've taken my profit too and I'm out of the market. So I'll put 2 pending orders. But you must first set this your zone. If you now want better confirmations, then you now look at the buy and the sell for much more. Maybe for some of you that want to risk a lot of money, then you not really want to look at the confirmations. So now the indicators I made mention of, is this a buy? Is this a sell? When is it going to buy? When is it going to sell? You know, that kind of stuff, right? But if you don't want to look at all of that and you just want to make quick money and you're out of there, it's not like you're trying to put in like $5,000 into the market. You just probably put in an amount that you're willing to risk. It's not a big deal, right? Then you can just do this. Once it breaks out, it's going in for a buy, 10 pips, you're out of there. And the same thing for this other part. So now this idea has gone, you know, in profit if you took it for a buy, following this simple rule. And then it's trying to now consolidate into the zone. If it breaks, but I won't take this yet for a sell. If it breaks below this point, then it's now going in the idea of this trade, which is for a sell. Does that make sense, guys? These are just very simple basic steps. Then you can now decide to look at confirmations. If it makes sense for you, just put 888 for me on the chat box. If it makes sense, let me look at another one for you. I'm just going to show you a couple, right? If it makes sense for you, just put 888 for me on that chat. You got that simple stuff. You got that simple stuff. Oh, why does this keep happening to me? Okay. If that makes sense, please put 8. So we want to look at this 12:45. So what's the first step you're supposed to do? Let me see if you guys are following. What is the first step you're supposed to do? The moment you come and you've seen, I've clicked on AUD USD. By the way, remember, you can just pause this so that it stops blinking, all right? So in case yours keeps blinking, simple click on this and it to stop. So AUD USD, what's the first step, guys, to do? Once you come on this setup, what's the first thing? Very quick. Let's make it fast, fast, fast. What's the first thing we want to do? What's the first thing we want to do? AUD USD. Plot price and time. Perfect. Very simple. So our price says 0.6. So you get your horizontal very quick. You just do it sharp, sharp. I mean, you're out of there. You just click on this thing, change the settings, put in the coordinates. It says 0.74. So this is going to be down. 74. Am I saying, well, 883. I hope I called the right one. AUD USD. Right. Correct. And then the next thing it says is what? The time, right? Time. So the next thing you want to put is plot in the time. So you use your vertical line this time. Vertical line. And then it tells you what's 12:45, right? 12:45. So let's go back to 12:45. Guy, where are you? Oh no, I've entered a new day. Okay, so 12:45. This 12:30. Good. So this is 12:45. So this is it. So this point was where the idea was called. This point was where the idea was called. And remember our little secret. You have to look at the previous, what's it called? The previous And let me confirm this again. AD USD 1515 0.74883. Okay, I'm coming. Yeah, 83, correct. All right, good. So this is where the trade idea was called. At this point, let me move my stuff a bit so that you can see it. It was called at this point. Okay, and they said we should go in for a buy. But remember, what's the next thing you want to do? The moment you've been able to draw this line, what is the next thing you want to do? What is the next thing you want to do, guys? I'm coming. Let me make this so that you can see it. Okay, what's the next thing you want to do? Draw your resistance and support. Nice. Support and resistance. Nice. You guys are actually following. So now you want to check the previous candle. What was the highest and what was the lowest? Okay. So this is our candle here. The previous candle, what was the highest, what was the lowest? So this was obviously the highest, right? Can you guys hear me? My internet is unstable. Can you guys hear me? If you can hear me, please put 3. This is my internet unstable. If you can hear me, please put 3. If you can hear me, okay, good. So this was the highest. Then our lowest, this was our lowest, right? This was our lowest previous candle. So it's the highest. So we are going to draw what? Our rectangular quickly. Doesn't take you anything to literally identify your highest and lowest. So you just, this is my highest and lowest. You can decide to draw this all the way, which would make more sense if we do that. Okay. So in as much as this idea was calling for a buy, I wouldn't enter at this point. I mean, the market wasn't even there, right? The market wasn't even there. So I wouldn't even enter until it's able to break above this zone. Do you understand? So if it's able to break above that zone, then I will enter in for a buy, which if you did, right, you'll be able to come out in little profit. Now, let's see what played out over time then. I'm going to drag this all the way and see what happened over time in 6 hours. What was the response like? Oh, guys, chill. I think we picked a wrong time. This is 12. This is not 12. Okay. So let's draw another one. This is 23rd March, and today is 24th March. We're plotting for a different day. You guys didn't see that. So I have to delete this. Then delete the line for this one. I just knew that it's so this is 12:45, right? So this is our 12:45 around here. So guys, you want to take note of that when you're plotting and make sure you plot it right. All right, 12:45. Yeah, so that makes more sense. So that's why I had to like recheck, but I didn't know it was going to be the time. So yeah, so remember we plot again our highest high and whatever lowest low. So rectangle. So where is it? Let's see. This is the candle. So this was the lowest and this was the highest. Okay. If you guys are doubting, so let me just expand so that you see more. Right, so that you see more. Okay, so this is our highest, right? And this is our lowest. I hope that makes sense. All right, so I'll plot the highest point now. All right, so you do it up to this point. You can decide to take it further. Right, so I take it further. Okay, yeah, then you can draw it to see what played out. So for me, like I said already, once you see this, it breaks above this, you're taking it for a buy. Okay, so if we took it at this point when it broke, it's a bye-bye. Are you guys seeing the simple steps? Without even having to check my confirmations for more stuff, you're able to just plot your support and resistance, and you literally use that to make money, guys. So now let's draw it further. Oh, this guy, what's your problem? All right. So let's draw it further. and see, right? So it has been above this all through. Okay, it came back, it hit our line, and it's still going up again. Because the moment you're able to draw the support and resistance, it tells you that this is going to go up. The moment it breaks it, it's going up. If it's able to break this down, then it's going down. And the idea was called for a buy. So this actually played out right immediately, right? It played out. Yeah, so this played out for us. M15, F15, I wanted to check everything checks out well. Guys, does this make sense to you? Like literally, does this actually make sense? I've shown you different ones. Then if you now want further, you can now begin to look at the you cannot begin to look at the signs, right? To know, okay, what you really want to do. Like if you've got all that time. But if you just use the simple support and resistance that you draw out here, right? You can decide on whether or not you want to go in. But if it's something huge you're trying to risk, then you can now begin to look at the indicators. What is the indicator saying for 15, for 5, for 1? Is it literally, is everything aligning? Do we have up to like 3 indicators in there aligning for a buy? Do you have up to like 3 indicators aligning for a sell? Then all those things I called out initially now comes into play. Okay, so guys, if this makes sense for you, I mean, if you're a Follow Thoughts fan, it literally makes sense to you and for you, please literally put some fire emojis for me on the chat box. If it makes sense, what you have just heard is simple and makes sense. If it makes sense, that's what I'm stressing on. If it makes sense for you, just literally. So that idea played out after like 6 hours. That idea played out within 6 hours if you mix with that. But the moment you see the setup, you can already determine, you draw your support resistance, determine when you want to enter, set a pending order for this. So once it hits the zone, so at the time the trade idea was called, this is where it was, right? Some people enter it immediately. It doesn't make sense to enter immediately. You want to draw your support and resistance first of all, and then you set a pending order for your highest point, right? For a buy. And then you know that it will keep. So once it's able to break this, so if this is your point, so maybe I might set like 2 or 1 pip ahead of that, right? So if this is my point, then I set a pip ahead as my pending order. And then once it's able to pick that up, then you are in profit all the way to this point, right? And once you're in profit, it takes you out because you hit your take profit. So once you want to calculate, some people might ask me, how do you then calculate your take profit and your stop loss? Very simple. You can make your I'm going to look into the chat briefly to see if we've got questions. But yeah, you can make your take profit, right, 10 pips away from your entry point. You know how you calculate your take profit according to your account size. You can literally do that based on your account size. Okay, some people are trying to make 10% of their accounts every day. Some people are trying to make 5% of their accounts every day. So calculate what that would be in pips, and literally you can add it. But minimum of 10 pips makes a lot of sense because 10 pips can translate to a lot of things. It can translate to $100. It can translate to, $1,000. It can translate to $10,000. All depends on the lot size that you're using and the amount you're leveraging with. So 10 pips in profit is enough for each of these trades. And then if you want to put a stop loss, you can literally, this is your entry somewhere around here. You want to make the called out price, right? This called out price, you want to make that your ADUSD. You want to make the called out price your stop loss if you want. So this called out price can become your stop loss because that was not when you entered. So this is the called out price. So this can become your stop loss. So this is when you entered, the upper part. Or you can make the bottom of the support and resistance that you do, you can make the bottom your stop loss. Do you get? You can also calculate your stop loss according to the size of your account as well. So all of this depends on you. All right. So, but that's no biggie. Or you can just scalp. Or you can just scalp. All right. So guys, if that makes sense and you really, you're able to get that, please put some fires for me on the chat box. Please put some fires for me. Someone is asking me, what is peeps? All right, so I'll recommend that you go watch the training I took on peeps leverage and lot size. If you've not done that, someone should please post it, because trust me, everything I've said here might not make a lot of sense until you have watched that video. But just to answer your question, peeps is the unit of measurement that we use to determine how much price has fluctuated. Right, so it's a unit of measurement used to know how much the price moves. So sometimes a lot of people a lot of traders say we're trying to catch some peeps so that we can take a trip, you know, because when you catch peeps, obviously you're making money, and with the money you can now, you know, begin to move around. So literally we're trying to catch peeps. So peeps is like the unit of measurement in the forex market. All right. So when it goes up or it goes down, that's how many did it go up, how many did it come down, right? It's what we call pips. And when you multiply that, you know, by certain figures, you're able to know how much in dollars you have made. So this was something I taught during that class as well, how you're able to tell the amount of dollars that you have made according to the pips. And then I also explained how to literally calculate your pips. When it moves from year to year, how many pips have you made? And then you multiply that by a certain figure, and then you get the dollar equivalent. I don't want to go into that tonight. So just go watch the video and you're good to go. All right, so let me go through let me go through and see if you guys have got questions. Please put it down on the chat box. I'm not looking at the chat. I'm looking at it now to see if you guys have got questions. So if you sent a question before, please just repost it. Someone says, make these lines, are they the same? Ma, these lines, are they the same with triple EMA lines? So do not confuse both of them, right? Do not confuse both of them, because if you do, it might distract you. Do you understand? So do not look at it from as the EMA lines, as you know, right? So just look at it the way you've seen it this way. When we're dealing with what's it called, HFX strategies, and we're looking at, let's say, the simple scalper or which of them, then we're able to look at the EMA lines, and yeah, can make reference to that. How then do we get our entry price? Wow, what a question. Can somebody help answer that on the chat box? Because I've already explained that once you have your support and your resistance, right? Your support and resistance, this line, I don't know if that let me see if I can zoom in further. But the reason why I had to say that is like, that's what I've been teaching the entire time. So this line, yeah. So maybe you can just do 1 pip ahead of that line. You can use that as your entry price. Okay, you can use that as your entry price. Let me move it. This line. So if it breaks above it, so you set a pending order, right? So if it breaks above it, so this trade was called here. So forget what happened, all this part. So this trade was called here. So you just put 1 pip above, put a pending order, and then leave it. You don't need to monitor the trade. It hits your pending, your price at that point, which is 0.74966, and it goes all the way, right? All the way to 0.75251. Okay, so that's some pips there for you. Okay. All right. Someone says the top line. Okay, good. Thank you for answering that. Someone says, Coach, please, if you don't have Vibrata in your package, how do you get it? It's very simple. You go to your back office, and you know, from your IM Academy, you know, you go to shopping cart, I believe, and then there you can search for Vibrata. I think it might cost $23, so you can get Vibrata as an added package. The same way some of you had to buy levels. For those of you who are not on an elite package, you're able to get levels. You can just get Vibrata as well, you know, and have multiple means of making money. That's what it simply does. Okay. Next question says, Mark, can I get Vibrata on HFX package only? I don't get what you mean on HFX. Yes, I mean, you can get it on a platinum package. You just get a platinum package and then buy Vibrata on it. That's, yeah. I hope that answers your question. Next question says, please, how do we find the highest and lowest? Okay, so you just look at the previous candle. This stuff, my stuff cannot go further in. I'm coming. Oh, let me see if I could. This is the best it can go. So this is a candle. This blue stuff is a candle. So this is where it intercepts. So this is the candle. This is where the trade idea was called. Okay, I wish I changed this from yellow. Let me see if I can change it from yellow. Let me put red. Okay, so this is where the trade idea was called. So you look at this candle, and then you now go back to the previous candle, right? So this is the previous candle, this is the previous candle, this is the previous candle, this is previous. But in the previous candle, you want to look at the highest and the lowest of the previous candle. So this previous candle, like the highest and the lowest, has got to be higher and lower than this particular candle that's here. So if it's not higher and lower, then it's not what you're looking for. All right. So this is our candle. So the highest point it went previously, this previous candle went lower. This is the highest point the previous candle went. So it is lower than our actual candle. So you need something that is higher than our actual candle, which is this. And so that candle that is higher than our actual candle in the previous one is this one, right? So this candle is actually higher than this candle. So that's the highest point it has gone in the previous. Then the lowest point it has gone in the previous for this candle, this is the lowest, yes, but you have to look at the previous, and the lowest it went was this point. So you are now taking from this point to this point. Does that make sense? From this point to this point, because this is the highest it went, this is the lowest it has gone, okay, before this particular one. So it has to be compared to this. You have to compare it to this. It has to be higher than this, and it has got to be lower than this. Once you have that, then you draw it. All right, makes sense. So someone says, so if you are placing a pending order, how much time will be good to use? What do you mean by how much time? Because for a pending order, you don't put time. Do you mean like this ones? I've already said that we're using M15 all the time. It has got to always be M15, right? You could use the rest of them, but it would just take a longer time. Like you can see now, for some of the trade ideas that we've looked at, like for example, this one, right? It took okay, so this idea was caught around 12:45. It played out, right, around, I mean, if you took it at this point, right, it already played out from here, right? So it started playing out from here, but it dropped down and then it went back up. So yeah, but me, I won't take it at that point. I'll take it when it breaks out, which is what I'm teaching tonight. Okay, so if it finally played out in my way or in my direction as at 2:15, so it took about, say, 2 hours. Okay, but overall, right, you can decide to look at it and say, okay, it has played out within 6 hours. But some of them might not be that way. Some of them might take a day to play out. Some of them might take, 2 days to play out. So it all depends. So imagine if M15 is taking us a day to play out. What do you think about M30 and H1? So yeah. So yeah, more questions? Do you guys have more questions? Any more questions? Any more questions? Any more questions? Let me see. Your AD. Any more questions, guys? All right, so guys, if you've understood thus far, and let me see this one. I'm trying to see 1.468. This is another one too that played out 12:45. You can just even do random 12:45, so somewhere around here, right? And it was able to break out to this point. So if you took this, you'd have been in more than 10 pips, obviously, right? You'd have been in more than 10 pips. So yeah, someone says, if we take, can Vibrata work with HFX as well? No, we're using it for Forex. If we take pending orders, the candles before the breakout week at the point, won't the trade be taken then? I'm confused. If we take pending orders, the candles before the breakout week at that point, you might want to unmute and ask your question. I think that might be better because I think you're asking an important question. Another one says, what is the name of those 3 lines? Maybe I can find it on TradingView, or they only work on Vibrata. So this is where you need to get it. This is set up for, you can see, Mastery IM Academy. So this setup has been done for IM Mastery Academy. Do you understand? So it is a strategy that, so this ECC 11 was a strategy created by Dr. Kati. She's the one who created the strategy, right? And she's using it in IM to literally help students, right? So there are people who are in the academy, educators, and they create strategies, right? And we use them. Okay, so it's not a thing that you can just like say, okay, you want to use on TradingView. Do you get my point? So I hope that makes sense. And do we need to check currency strength for signal giving? Yeah, you might want to check currency strength, but the truth is I only use currency strength when I'm probably scalping or when I'm doing HFX. That's when I really pay attention to currency strength meter. But for Forex, because the currency can like change in an hour, the currency can change in 5 hours. Do you understand? So I can't use the currency strength at that time to know whether I want to go in for a buy or sell, because it could flip, right? Because USD is stronger than Canadian dollar at the moment doesn't mean that in 5 hours it will not change, and then Canadian dollar now becomes stronger than USD. And with the forex, that's how it works, right? So it's a day trading, so it's over hours and all of that. Do we wait for the breakout before placing the pending order? No, you don't have to wait for it. You don't have to wait for it. You just place the pending order because you don't have that time. You don't want to be monitoring 24/7. Okay. So once you just see the setup, let me draw one here now. Once you see the setup, you just go for it immediately. You put the pending order. Pending order is so that you don't have to chase a particular trade. So once it's able to play out, then yeah. And 85% of the signals that are called, I mean, you've seen all I've been showing you and simple things to just look out for. Just by me doing that, you can already be in profit. 4, 6, 6, 6, 8. Am I correct? 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. I think I'm 1, 2, 3, 4, 8. Am I correct? 1, 2, okay, it's 3. All right, sorry guys. Okay, then can you talk small on scalping, coach, please? I cannot talk more on scalping. Why? Because we're going to have a class on scalping. And when we do, I will talk more on it. If I do that, then as we've taken a lot of time, it's supposed to be 15, taking a lot of time. So I just want us to do and wrap this up. Okay. So guys, do you have any other questions for me? Do you have any other questions for me? I just want to show you one last setup and we're good. So this one, right? This one. So once we've been able to set the coordinates, this is the one I'm taking Euro AUD 7 hours ago. So this is our candle here. So we're looking at previous high and low. What if the cloud is tiny? Can we take the trades like that too? Yeah, it doesn't matter. But the size of the cloud doesn't come into play. Okay, I think this will be it. Let me see. I think this one would be it. So see how I have to go all the way back. All the way back. Once we're just done with this, I think then we're good to go. Okay. So guys, any more questions? Any more questions? I'm just trying to check out one more setup for you guys. Any more questions? Okay. So with this, you can practically make profits, guys. So not just from only the ones you're using. You can make much more profits. Who's making noise in my class? Okay, so I just wanted to show you one more setup, guys. That's it. So you see this? See this for me? Good. So it breaks out, I enter, it broke out, I enter, push all the way down. Can you guys see for yourself? Right? Set my stuff, support resistance, was able to break down. Right? So I'm like, if you break this point, I'm entering. So it broke it and I took it, and it's actually called for a sell. So I took it and then it goes all the way down. You can now look at your confirmations, to really be sure if you want to, whatever, but just with this support resistance, very good to go. Nike, I see you're always unmuting. Do you have a question for me? No, you keep unmuting. So Yeah, you can do that, and then once you're able to take your profit, you're out of the market. That's it. You're done with this setup. Move into the next one. USD card, do the same thing, right? Do the same thing, and then this is how you literally are able to make profit. Nike, do you have a question for me? You keep on muting. My people are trying to mute you, but you keep on muting. All right, guys. Any other questions? Check in the chat box. Please take the resistance and support again. I didn't see where you pick from. I zoom out. I just had to go back. It's the same formula still. You go back to the previous, is this setup still there? You go back to the previous, what's it called? The previous entry. It has cleaned out. Just go back to the previous entry and that's it. The previous highest high and lowest low, okay? Just 1 minute, guys. I just want to stop this.